to give some of these notes or things as handouts. The one big one you'll definitely want to get your hands on is what we call 8 things an 18-year-old must be able to do, which is what we're going to base tonight on. And it's at bemorelearning.org, B-M-O-R-E learning.org on the homepage. You can go ahead and download it now. You can do it afterwards. That's fine, but then you'll have a copy of your own. And then we're going to record this, and we're going to also make some of the notes, some of which you guys are going to be a part of coming up with. We'll make those available to you. All right. So, but in the meantime, I'm going to just ask everybody to go ahead and be on mute for a moment, if you don't mind. And that way, let me go ahead and get started, and we will get this party rolling. All right. All right, wait a minute. That's not where we needed to go. I'm going to head to the top of this whole thing. All right. That should look familiar. So glad you guys are here. So excited to be here. My name is Jackie Martin, and I am the owner of a training and development company called A Matter of Motivation. And we are working in conjunction and doing this training for parents, a time for us to really, it's going to be much more collaborative. We're just going to share ideas. But this was all put together in order to be a fundraiser for a brand new nonprofit called Be More Learning. And you'll hear a little bit more about that organization and kind of how it came to be. But I just wanted you to know this was one of the things during COVID. And we realized we were not able, and we're just dying to get back in front of kids again.
Did you finish?
But what we found was, since we couldn't do that necessarily on Zoom, because, you know, I know even as adults, we're a little Zoom tired or a little tired of being online. We didn't want to do that to the kids. So we thought, what could we do that would make a difference now in this circumstance as we're waiting to get back with the kids? So we thought, let's get together as parents. Talk about some of the questions, the ideas, the things that we can do to not just help our kids, but help each other be the best kind of parent that we can be. So that's where this was all born from, as an idea. And so I just want to share with you, we've got some information I'm going to be rolling through on these slides, but I'm going to have a couple of opportunities where we're going to break off into little breakout rooms to do some brainstorming on some ideas. You guys, you're already amazing parents. And this is an opportunity to be able to talk about maybe some of the areas you want more details in, maybe some of the ideas you'd like to share with others, or ideas you'd like to pick the brains of other great parents in our community. And so that's part of what tonight's all about. So just to kind of give you a little bit of how this whole thing started was, so we've lived here, my husband, Jerry, and I have lived in Forsyth County for going on 20 years. We've raised our 2 amazing kids, if I do say so, don't we all say so ourselves, in the Forsyth County schools, and in and out of Forsyth County schools, on to college, and now out, so they're 20-somethings. And during this time, I noticed an increasing amount of comments from business owners, or just in discussion of parents in general, kids these days. And I got to just tell you that I started to bristle a little bit about that. I mean, I proudly raised 2 kids these days, and I'm starting to be a little defensive on their behalf. And in addition to that, in my work doing corporate training in businesses and organizations and through the University of North Georgia, I have had so many conversations with business leaders about kids these days. And I know generations have been saying that phrase forever. At the same time, I thought, what could we do? I mean, is there something to this whole frustration? What could we do to help make the journey for our kids these days, that journey of independence to that moment when they are standing on their own 2 feet, independent of us? Can we make that smoother, more productive for them, for us, the whole thing? So that's how the idea kind of started. And so to start the idea with respect to where you stand and how it is many times this is about what we're like worried about for our kids, I wanted to launch this poll. So can everybody see? There's a poll right there. Can everybody see that? Okay, would you mind? Now here's the question. What's your greatest concern? Now they're all concerns. But I just want to know right now where you stand with your child, whatever age they are. What is it right now your biggest concern when it comes to your high school students' readiness for real life? So go ahead and click on which ones seem to be the ones you're most concerned about. Let's just see where we stand. So if everybody has an opportunity, especially, I don't know about how easy it is to do on the phone, but if you wouldn't mind, if you can reach up there and give us a vote. All right, we'll give that just another minute. Okay. All right. One of them's kind of taking the lead. Oh, we'll just give a few more responses and let's go ahead and end the poll. All right. Okay, so here's the results. All right, so I think we're kind of all in agreement, or not all. There's a few. Oliver, of course, we're concerned about safety, employability, if they're going to stay in our, basement too long, or their emotional health. But it looks like the big winner is the level of practical life skills. So I think that's part of why we wanted to share this information with you today, is to find the way to do to bridge what's they're calling in the workplace a gap, a skills gap. And so here's one more, if you wouldn't mind, Leah, if you wouldn't mind, let me stop this poll. Let's go to poll number 2. Here's the quotation. Okay, colleges think they're doing a great job of getting young adults ready for real life. But what we're finding is that businesses don't quite agree. And here's the statistic on it. 96% of all high school, or of all higher education officers believe they're preparing students, but only what percent? So I want to launch a second poll. And okay, so do you see that there? Tell me what you think the percentages that business leaders are saying. So 96% of all higher education officers believe they're preparing students, but only what percent of business leaders agree? So let's just see what you think. All right, we'll give it another couple seconds. All right. See if you've got anyone else. Yeah, it's what we're starting to find is that not only is there a gap in what business leaders feel that that young professionals are arriving in their workplace with, but there's a discrepancy between what sometimes these educational entities, it could be high school or college, think they're doing. And so that's part of what let's go ahead and end the poll and look at what the results are. And I want to tell you, okay, so 20%, do you know what the statistics actually showed, that the survey? 11% is the right answer. 11% is what business leaders say they are feeling they're getting those students arriving prepared. So what happened when we realized those kinds of things is we wanted to do something about it. And here's another statistic from the Harvard Business Review, just really reiterating what we already know, that we want our kids to be as confident, as prepared as possible. So here's the deal. What happens is businesses blame the schools, schools blame the parents, but we don't even know what to do. So tonight we're just going to set all that stuff aside and look at specific, sometimes little, sometimes bigger ways that we as parents can make a difference. Yes, our school system Forsyth County Schools are one of the best in the state of Georgia. They are doing an amazing job preparing our students academically. What our Be More Learning's goal is to come alongside and begin to work on these sort of life skills. It really is about trying to prepare ourselves, prepare us as parents, prepare those students so that they do get that education. Even though I know the academic load that many of these kids has is significant, how can we get a little of all of these life skills in there? So that's how a program that was called Be More Learning started. This is a picture from last year. It was a pilot program that was run, and it was offered to anybody in any schools. Maybe some of you are on the call, and if you did indeed come to that, I'd love in chat for you to say hello and share if you enjoyed that process. But what we did obviously was in person, and when COVID hit, that sort of changed how things were going to go. So the process really shifted to finding other ways to make a difference for the students. What we realized was the mission was really to equip students and then encourage us as parents and prepare a ready workforce for employers. We really want that local employers there's so many amazing companies right here in Atlanta. We'd love our kids to have incredible opportunities available to them. And we realize some of these soft skills, life skills, are what these employers are looking for. How can we make that path to that kind of incredible employment opportunity as smooth as possible? So with that, I wanted to share with you something that was found, and we actually found it from a book, and you'll see the title of the book right there. It's How to Raise an Adult. And it's Julie Lythcott-Haims. Now, of course, I'm reading through a book. I don't know, parents, do me a favor. If you can give me a thumbs up, either. In fact, you can notice at the very bottom of your screen is some emojis or reactions. Give me a thumbs up if you've done any kind of research or reading or Googling or books or magazines or articles to help you learn more as a parent. If so, give me a thumbs up or a yeah. There's countless resources out there, but even that process can get overwhelming. So I ran across this book, that How to Raise an Adult, and halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, buried in it was some information that like made me go, what? And now we lovingly call it the 18-year-old checklist. So there's a link for you to download it, and it's at bemoreLearning.org. But this became something that we started thinking, how can we share with other parents the different ways that you and I can prepare them? And so this 18-year-old checklist is what we're going to share tonight. And in fact, let me tell you what's in it. Now, if you go ahead and download it, you're going to have it at your fingertips before or after. But I want to go through an overview of it, and we're going to share a couple of the areas and brainstorm some ideas. So this whole thing is filled with 8 different areas that by the time our kids get to be 18, they really should know how to do it. By the way, Jennifer and Leah, if either one of you see anything in chat that you'd like to share with me, please just type in. Okay, good. All right. So feel free to take notes, or if you've already downloaded this, you're going to have this available to you. But here is an overview of 8 things every one of our 18-year-olds should know how to do. Now, when we start working with them, it's going to depend on their age, their maturity, lots of things. But let me just go through the list. Number 1 is they should be able to talk to strangers or adults. Now, I have to tell you that strangers, I added adults to it because the truth is, I think that stranger danger and those kinds of things, a lot of times, of course, we needed to make sure the kids were staying safe and weren't talking to strangers. We probably all, give me a thumbs up if you taught your kids about stranger danger or don't talk to strangers. Anybody teach that? With all the best intentions, but now they become older, a little more and mature, getting into middle school and high school, and we've got some kids who really struggle talking to adults at all, even if those adults are teachers or other adults in their sphere that they really need to be more confident talking to. We'll dig into that one in a minute. Here's another one of the 8 things that they should know how to do. They should know how to find their way around. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I have to tell you, I am very technology dependent now. Are you? Right. So what's happened here is that if the technology goes down, we've got a whole generation that doesn't know how to get from place to place. And I don't blame them because now we've become so technology dependent. We'll go over some answers for that. Here's a couple other things. They need to be able to manage assignments. And I know they're having to do that all the time. And some by nature or by personality or style maybe better at that than others. But I would say even project managing a project from beginning to middle to end is one of those life skills they'll never stop needing. Even if they don't go on to college, they'll always need to know, hey, adults, don't you agree? Let me know if you agree with that, that they always want to, I mean, they're always going to be asked to move a project through in just about any job you have. So that's a big one. Here's another one is participate in the running of a household. Now, I don't necessarily mean they know how to need to know by 18 how to run the whole household, but you know what I'm talking about, chores, certain things that it takes to make sure they are fed and clothed and know how to rudimentary ways to take care of a home or clean it. Those kinds of things kids should know how to do. So let's keep talking about, here's the second 4. Handle interpersonal problems. Now, there's a lot we could camp out on this right here because kids are really under a lot of pressure, not only to have to socialize and deal with issues and problems with friends at school and people they see face to face, but with the onset of the internet and social media and all of that hyper connectedness, this is exponentially made this more difficult for a lot of people today, adults too. And that we either lean too much on technology and then misunderstandings happen. And then we also hear about things like bullying and all of those, handling those interpersonal problems, dealing with conflict, being able to have a more emotional connection to what's going on inside them or in their friends. So important. Which leads us to another one of the 8 elements that they need to know how to do is to cope with ups and downs. Now, I got to tell you, this past year has advanced our kids in this area like crazy. I mean, as much as there's no one would ever have wanted to wish what's happened or with COVID and all of those things this past year. But with respect to being able to pick up and after maybe things not going well or there's failure or building resilience, I think our kids have been tested a ton on this right now, and a lot of things that they missed out on, especially last year's seniors that didn't get a chance to do a lot of things in their last years, same now. So coping with ups and downs is a huge, truthfully, a lifelong skill, but so important. And in fact, the interpersonal problems and the coping with ups and downs is actually by business owners, that emotional intelligence to business owners is number 1 in their level of importance when they're hiring somebody. They're looking for somebody who can handle their own issues or being their own emotions. That's even being ranked over and above somebody's undergrad degree. It's incredibly important. Here's another one. Number 7, earn and manage money. They need to know how to do that. I also just read that Gen Z, which is the population that's in high school and into college right now, Gen Z is actually down 17%, fewer Gen Z students, while highly educated, probably the most educated generation we'll have, highly educated with their focus on academics. There actually fewer of them have jobs, set by 70% less than just millennials. not to mention Gen Z or baby boomers, but they are very few actually have jobs. Many do, but some don't. And so what's happening is they're coming out of college, getting their very first job. And then no wonder it's a big shift to understand how, what maybe you and I cut our teeth on in our first 3 or 4 jobs in high school and college, like how to get along with a boss we didn't like, or how to show up on time. Those things many students aren't even experiencing until they're out of college. So that's a big one, how to earn and manage money. And then being willing and able to take risks, to try something new, to venture out, to deal with all the changes that are going on. Those are the 8 things an 18-year-old must be able to do. Now, I have to just admit, there's probably 20 things under each one of these. So I realize that there is a lot. And what I also know is that you're already probably well on your way to teaching many of these things to your students. The question is, have you made it all the way through before they turn 18? Where are you in that lineup? And where are you with respect to how personalized it is to your students, maybe their personality, style, maturity, or grade level? So those are areas that you can add to personalize this for what you're able to do. So here's what we're going to do. We're doing this, our time. I want to keep it limited so that you're not on this call for a long time. So we're just going to pick 2 areas to dig into. Now, I promise you, we plan to do another one of these later in late spring, early summer, and we'll cover a couple of more. So please come back to that. But I wanted to dig into and give opportunities to share best practices on 2 of them. And I'll explain why I chose these 2 a little bit more as we go along. But here's number 1, and I know this sounds like a no-brainer. We already talked about the fact they need to be able to talk to adults, and some of them they'll know, but some will be strangers. We're talking about teachers or deans or advisors or their coach or store clerks or a hiring manager, coworkers, bank. All of these individuals are likely to be adults, many of whom they've never met before. That level of comfort is so important for them to get through, to be able to work alongside, to be able to feel comfortable enough to get what they need when they need it. And so I wanted you, if you've already downloaded that 18-year-old checklist, I wanted to show you something about it. Okay, right here, it has the talk to strangers, and then it gives a little definition, which is what I shared right there. But this next slide I want to share with you is what we realize as parents we've done to provide a crutch. Like, why aren't all our kids feeling comfortable talking to strangers and adults? Now, I have to tell you, I have one of my kids talk to anybody, no problem. It doesn't make a difference. I have another child who, growing, especially in a high school, if it came time to, you need to go talk to your teacher about this, or talk about getting an extension on a project, etc., just absolutely couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Too nervous about it, didn't want to, I don't know, just uncomfortable. So here's what happens sometimes, and you can see it right here. We teach kids not to talk to strangers instead of teaching them the more nuanced skill about how to discern who isn't a good person to talk to. And that's one of those nuanced skills we need our whole life. So thus, we haven't had a lot of practice at it. And unless our kids are given opportunities to go talk to strangers or to talk to other adults, even when they're in elementary school and into high school, it's no wonder things like eye contact, things like being able to feel comfortable asking a question, like they don't know where they are, they don't know where something is, to be able to get the guidance they need. It's no wonder it's uncomfortable. So speaking of which, sometimes when I hear that I've done something that might have impeded my kids, that's uncomfortable for me to hear. For sure. So I just want to say many of these crutches they're talking about, maybe you don't do or haven't done, but if any of them kind of send a little zinger here, just know that now it's oh, there's always time to change it. There's always time to switch it up and help them out at this point. And so that's part of what this is about. So what I want to do now, Leah, if you wouldn't mind, get us ready. We're going to break into some, I like it to be in threes if you don't mind. So let's see how many, I don't know, based on we've got 27, so however many of that. So we're going to go ahead and break into groups of three. All right, so you can be on your phone, you can be so that you can be on screen. I'm just going to give us about 5 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more. And I'd like you with your fellow parents to brainstorm some ideas. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to go in that breakout room and share ideas, tips, best practices that you use with your team or that you've seen other people using to help them feel more comfortable and in control when they're speaking to adults. And remember, it's not always just the adults they don't know. Sometimes kids struggle to maybe they're more introverted or more shy, but we need them to be able to feel comfortable. And so that's one of the areas. So anything idea is good in a brainstorm. There's no bad ideas. Any questions before I break us off into breakout rooms? Okay, hang on just a moment. Let me just explain how this is going to work. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. So here's how it works. If you haven't had an opportunity to do this on Zoom, I just can't imagine. But if you haven't, here's how it's going to work. We're going to break you into these rooms. You'll see a spot that says join. So click on it, and that'll allow you to join your group. We'll give you a few minutes, and then I will send you a 1-minute warning. Feel free to talk all the way to the end, and it'll automatically toss you back to the main group. And then here's what I'd like to ask. One person out of the three of you, would you mind being the one willing to talk to the rest of these adults about the ideas you came up with? Okay, so guys, I mean, I know it's unnerving even for us. So I get that, but let's go ahead and break you off now into the room. Please join, and then you'll see the note when it's time to come back. Go ahead and enjoy, brainstorm away. Please click the join button. Okay, guys, you should see a join button in front of you. Go ahead and click that. That'll send you to, if you have any problems, go ahead and unmute and let us know. If you've stepped away from your phone, we're joining small groups, so go ahead. So we'll do 5 minutes. if you stepped away from your phone and are just now back, go ahead and join the group you should see a join button. So you can brainstorm ways to help kids talk to adults. Hello, Vivek. Hello, hello, welcome. Glad you're here. We've got some breakout rooms going on right now, just for another minute or two. All right. I think we can go ahead and. All right, guys, we're waiting for our fellow parents to come on back. Just another 30 seconds or so. Just in case you didn't see, there's a place for you to link to get the 18-year-old checklist by going to bemorelearning.org and downloading that. If you have any questions, you can just chat that. All right, 3 seconds, here they come. All right, welcome back. Okay. All right, so here's what I want to know. I want to know what you guys talked about. So I am going to do a little, I'm going to do a little whiteboard here and gather some information. And by the way, I believe that the sign of genius is that you can spell things in a variety of ways. So whatever comes out here. Okay, I want to know, let's see, which room do we want to start with? Room A had, was it Azim, Sharp, Elise, Vivek? What would you guys come up with? Tell me what ideas you've got. Any ideas you brainstormed?
Are we talking about room 8 or room A?
Either one. Go ahead. You can just go ahead and tell me what you guys came up with.
Yeah, we came up with the general, to get rid of the general reluctance to talk to strangers, is to make them work in customer facing centric roles. Say some bakery shop, or where some Publix, or where they interact with strangers and learn to deal with them. There are good experiences and bad experiences, which they can learn from.
Yes. Oh, hey, listen, there's two things that I think every human being should do at some point in their life: be in something that's customer service related and be a food server. That just, yes. Both of those change your life forever. So, okay, excellent. All right, somebody give me another idea. How about from Amy? I think there was Amy, Jennifer, Coughlin. I'm looking at that room. Amy Kerner, anybody got anything there?
We came up with a few things. One was a really big concern is when students are, they have an issue with a teacher, either about a grade or an assignment that was missed, or in some way they really need to interact with that teacher. We've noticed that they'll actually ask, like, hey, what do I do here? And so just giving them the framework of what's, laid out, what's the issue, what is the solution you're hoping for, prompting them to remember to be respectful and that kind of thing. And then they're able to take it and kind of run with it.
Okay.
That was something that someone else in our group came up with. Jennifer, I'm sorry, I was telling about your really good idea.
Jennifer, you want to add anything to that?
No, that sounds good to me.
Okay, good. Yeah, so if they'll ask you about it, and then you can have them maybe talk through it about how they can do it respectfully, and okay, excellent. Let's see, somebody else. Kelly, what about your room?
I think the lady that talked first was from our group. That was the main thing. I was just agreeing that every time I get, I ask my daughter to go talk to somebody, you do it, Mom,
Yeah. Well, here's another idea. I had to go to a doctor today, and just having your student, check in at the doctor's office, be the one that has to go up and put their name on there, and they'll be asked to, get the little forms and things like that, get the right cards handed over to them. That alone can be a great, quick way for them to practice. All right, let's see. Let's open it up to any other rooms, rooms 6 or 7. Let's see what you got. Wendy, what did you guys come up with? Wendy Paxton, what did you guys come up with?
Well, Pratham and I were together, and he's 15. So this was fun to talk with someone his age. Pratham, go on and tell him what we're talking about.
Please.
So my issue was just trying to string together sentences. And so I was thinking just like getting more practice by talking to more people, just trying to be more social with others.
Okay. Is there some way that you found is a good way to do that, to get that kind of practice?
I just started talking to more people, like people around the neighborhood, and talking to other people that I know.
Pratham, that is awesome. And what I loved about what he was talking about, I said, so as you have your parents talk to you about, looking eye to eye and shaking hands, face to face, and he said, yes, we learned that a long time ago. And we're also talking about the fact with COVID in the last year, we haven't, these skills haven't been able to be worked on as much because of COVID. But
yeah,
and I was just saying to him that when we were chatting, I said, you realize that by having these communication skills, looking eye to eye and speaking up, is going to set him apart from others, like in job interviews, because that's going to make a young person stand out. In an interview, you can have a great resume, you can have great scores, but if you're there and you're looking eye to eye, and at the end you say, well, Mr. Martin, it was great to meet you, handshake, walk out the door, have a great day, that employer is going to be like, wow, what an awesome kid. He's my next project engineer. So I think
excellent. If nothing, I mean, really having that opportunity to stand out, Pratham, way to go. And you know what? Having the courage to get onto a webinar and share what you just did. Well done, sir.
I know. Well done.
Way to go. All right. Yeah, let's take a couple more. Are there any others from other rooms? We'll just take another couple ideas. Any of the other ideas you found?
This is Balaji. My daughter does a service in a senior citizen home where she learned a lot because as the seniors they are really giving a lot of ideas and mentoring, all kinds of stuffs where
Mm.
they came across, and they know that these are small kids. They have patiently, they don't also have somebody to talk to them, so they patiently sits with them and then patiently tells what they have to do and all those kind of things. So it's better, if they do some service at senior citizens, or some other hospital where elders are there. The one reason is they don't have anybody to talk to them. It'll be helpful for them also to encourage talking them, and then they give a lot of ideas and knowledge what they gained so far.
You are absolutely right. I mean, that's a win-win. That helps the seniors, that helps the students. There's just an incredible amount, and many times the seniors that they're around absolutely have all their faculties. They're just wanting someone to share with, and can be an incredible inspiration to a young person. What a great opportunity. I wanted to share with you a couple other ideas. These are great ideas you're sharing here. Let me give you a couple of others maybe you hadn't thought of. Let's roll through. Here's a couple things. Um, uh, we want to be sure that we're explaining to our students that everything communicates, and that Wendy mentioned this a second ago, body language, eye contact, standing up straight, even handshakes, those kinds of body language, nonverbal communication really matters. Practice and model that confident handshake. It's funny because in the boot camps for Be More Learning, this was one of those things that a lot of kids were really great at, and some didn't have a lot of practice at it. And so it's so important, just practice that. Every once in a while, just stop and ask them, give me a handshake. And it's going to feel weird and awkward, but that's how you get more comfortable with it. Also, another way to help is to make sure that they are confident in their responses back, that they're respectful. So I don't know, a lot of people are from the South with ma'am or sir, that might be comfortable, but I have to say that I know a lot of us adults go, gee, that's my parents, ma'am or sir. But for sure, kids should be able to use words like yes instead of yeah. Those kinds of little things. So just kind of holding our kids, paying attention to that kind of way they're speaking. So part of this would be just explaining what that kind of respect looks like to you, and to be sure that we're always modeling it too, and that we're modeling it back to them as well. Because when I remember my kids always saying they were laughing about me using big words when they were little. And part of that was I'd sometimes forget who I was talking to. It'd be my kids, and but what we realized was that they came up, they up leveled their understanding because we didn't talk to them like little kids. We spoke to them in ways that they could emulate as they grew up. And so just food for thought, thinking about role modeling that. Discuss what professional looks like. I mean, we think that's an obvious word, but it isn't unless it's been taught to us or shown to us. Why would they know what professional looks like unless someone is a professional, explains what that looks like, how they dress, how they stand, how they communicate with their coworkers? Those things have to be taught and modeled. That's part of what we want to do. Encourage them to speak up and ask questions, even at a club. One of the rules of thumb we teach adults is that if you go into a meeting, be sure you always, at least once, ask a question, and do it early in the meeting. Why? Because it shows that that you're participating, that you're eager, you're sending a message that you're confident. Same thing with our kids. They need to feel confident being able to speak up and ask questions. Or if they think something's not right, to be able to stand up and go, hold on a minute. And I will say the better they get at that with adults, the better they'll get at that with their friends too, when they need to speak up. And I really think all of this stems back to being with adults. So the more you have opportunity, or they have opportunity, whether that's a job or something else, to be around other adults and practice this, the better. Okay, so I want to go over the second area we're going to cover tonight, and that is finding their way around. again, I mentioned about being tech dependent. I got to tell you, I'm thinking back. I was explaining to my kids at one point that I used to work in a downtown area, and all I had with this was this map book called Mapsco. Does anybody give me a thumbs up if you remember something like that? That helped you, that had all the streets, and you'd have these numbers and you'd have to go look up. Give me a thumbs up if you remember a map or having to navigate by a map. The deal is, our kids still need to get around just the same way we did, whether that's our community or a campus or you know, if they're going to go off to an internship or overseas studying. I mean, they're going to need to learn how to deal with getting around. Now, I get it. If the GPS is working, we're good. But I remember my son calling me one time, and he was down south of, like, somewhere between Columbus and Macon, and he was in the middle of nowhere with absolutely no signal whatsoever. And he completely panicked. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to turn. He ended up going up to a stranger's house to ask them. I guess we hadn't covered stop at a gas station and buy a map. But that's part of what finding their way around. So here's what happens. This is the crutch. We drive them everywhere. We do. Or even when, and I get the reason why. Parents, give me a thumbs up if you walked or rode your bike most places you went when you were a teenager. Give me a thumbs up if that was you. Yeah, okay, so now I understand the roads are crazy around here. I would never want my kids riding their bike on some of the roads that are around here. But we can see how they lose their opportunity to navigate when everywhere is us driving them, even back and forth to school and things like that. So being able to get someplace, even to MARTA, and then take MARTA downtown somewhere. There's a lot of times parents, we go, oh, I don't want, that's unsafe. But being able to even figure out transportation issues, or how do you go get onto, how do you get a ticket? How do you check in? How do you get on board? All of those kinds of things are things they're going to need to know later in life. So this is part of finding their way around. So I do want, we're going to send you back. What's that? Okay, hang on just a minute. Let me stop the share here, and then I'm gonna send you off to the groups again. And what we're gonna talk about this time is, how can we help it be possible? Hang on one second. Okay, how can we help it be? Well, I can't do that. Hang on a second. I was trying to make. Okay. All right, Jennifer, we're gonna need you to. We're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull up the breakout rooms. I'll go ahead and send everybody. Go ahead and talk for a minute with your team about ideas for helping kids learn the art of navigation. Even if we want, you know, some of these same concerns, we want them to stay safe, all of that, some ways that you think that can work. Okay, so I'm going to open up the rooms. We're just going to spend a few minutes there and talk. Go ahead and join. Remember, you got to join and hop on over to talk about this for the next few minutes. Everyone. If you're just now coming on, be sure you join to go off to the. And if any of you who are still on the main room here, want to unmute and share with me, we can be our own little group. What idea do you have that kids could use to get around, to learn their area and navigate more? Anybody want to share any idea? All right. Hang on, they'll be joining us back again here in 30 seconds. Let's do it next time. All right. Any minute. All
15 seconds.
right. Hello. Isn't that the funniest thing? I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in mid-sentence. That boop, well, off you come again. Sorry about that. Okay, so I want to hear what you're sharing. So anybody go ahead and let's share with me the ideas you came up with to help kids navigate. What'd you come up with? Who wants to start?
Hey, this is Sajjan. I can go. I was in room 7.
Okay.
What has worked, at least for me, with my son? My son drives now, so it's a different conversation. But pre-driving, and I have a son 18 and a daughter 13, so I kind of try both, and I get different reactions based on whether it's a boy or a girl. I've seen that happen even for the previous topic that we discussed. But going on like trekking trip or going on a hiking trip and getting a map from the base station and getting a copy to them and have them lead the trip has always helped kind of groom in that point of reference. Having the reference to where you are on the map has always helped. And I've tried that, like go to downtown and we walk, and when we walk, making sure that they are able to bring us back to where we started, and not just Atlanta downtown, but other places as well, like where you essentially cannot use your vehicle, but you walk and see. That has actually helped me, and the peers who are with me in the room, they kind of resonated with the same idea as well.
Yes, nice. Any opportunity to give them a chance to practice it. And sometimes in those little ways, or, you know, at a park or even amusement parks, use the map, whatever that is, help them to practice. Good job. Thank you, Sajjan. Okay, somebody else.
So my Prathan and I were talking and my battery died on me. So
Oh, no.
halfway through. But he had made a great suggestion as far as when kids get their license, that they do most of the driving, and particularly like on family vacations and you know, unusual places, so that they learn how to navigate in unknown territories. I thought that was a great idea.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because the whole notion of driving does add a whole new wrinkle, but eventually they're going to not have somebody else in the car with them, and they're going to need to be able to do both. navigate and drive. So very good. Thank you, Wendy. Okay, somebody else?
Yeah, from our group, I was giving an example of my daughter who is 17 and she'll be 18 soon and about to get her license. And I was just thinking how to get her more independent and navigate through things. But one of the ideas I was thinking was like, once she gets her license, to send her to the grocery store with a list of things and all by herself, not mom or dad doing it, and getting things for the house. And that way, learning life skills, navigating through something, that kind of a situation where she will need it once she's in college and all by herself.
Yes. And you know what? That actually kills two birds with one stone, as I say, because one of the other 18-year-old checklist items is to get them used to how to run a house. And so making a checklist, going to the grocery store, navigating through the grocery store, all that can be daunting too. So you're teaching two things. Well done. Yeah. Plus you don't have to do it. My daughter just piped in and said, there's that. Yeah. Okay. Let me take one more idea. Yeah.
I'll chime in. I think the reality is that they are going to use their GPS. They're going to use their maps on their phone. But one thing that I've tried to encourage my kids to do is to pull up the actual driving directions first before they start, so they can familiarize themselves with it. They don't have to memorize it, but just look through the turn by turn, so that as they're driving it, they'll recognize if something seems off, or maybe they'll look at it and realize that when they chose, this happened to me, I was trying to choose a favorite that was home, and instead it grabbed up Home Depot. And so immediately it started driving. I was like, what are these directions? This isn't the way to go home.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted the estimated time of arrival. I clearly know how to get to my house, but and so I was like, wait a minute, it said Home Depot, not home. So if they pay attention to that ahead of time, it can save some of that.
Well, absolutely. And we, GPS isn't infallible. It's better than it used to be, but it isn't infallible. And so I wanted to share with you a few more ideas that I had too about how all of us could get around a little better without our smartphone. Listen, I get the fact that living in Forsyth County, knowing where north, south, east, and west is hard because the roads go like, this, and every other one's called Peachtree. So I got that struggle, but they really do need to have that bearing. So anything you can do to help with that. I know a lot of times in certain organizations, scouts and things like that, they work on that. Make sure you assign, and this you can start with little kids, is tell them they're in charge of making sure they know where the family parked before you go into a movie or whatever, that they are the ones to help. This will be a great assistance to you too. But another thing with that is to teach them how to take a picture of the floor or the level of the parking garage or whatever, and take that picture with them when they leave, so they're not walking around in the evening, a dark parking garage, looking for their car. So those are a couple things. Here's have them navigate to, if you guys have gone into a hotel, that they know where the room is. I know that sounds like a little thing, but if you're traveling at all, and I know they're opening things up again, they're going to travel again, even helping older kids navigate through the airport. It's daunting in Atlanta airport for adults. But kids need to know how to do it too, because as they head off to college, etc., they are going to be using those kinds of transportation. Put them in charge, just like you mentioned a minute ago about put them in charge of the map. I'll never forget, it felt like such a, I was being entrusted when we went to Washington, D.C. when I was a teenager. My dad gave me the map. And so I got to sit in the back seat and tell them to take a left or right, etc. Wow, that felt like such an honor. Or your kids would feel this, well, hopefully they'd feel the same way. Let them be in charge of that. And last but not least, have them, this also does two things, have them ask for the directions. If somehow you get turned around, let them go over and find out which direction to head instead of you. that gives them an opportunity to talk to adults who are strangers. And it gives them that chance to go, okay, so wait a minute, I don't know where I am. How can I figure this out? And I got to tell you, I know this is an extreme situation, but there was a gal who told me her mother was in France. She was going to school in California. One morning, she goes to her early class. She was brand new in the semester, goes to her class, didn't know where to go, called her mother in France to try to get directions. And of course she couldn't help. But that was just one of those times where the more they know that it's okay to not know and to ask, the better they are. Here's the last one. There's a few numbers that our kids need to memorize. If our smartphone goes down, if we drop it, if it breaks, the cell service isn't going, something happens, that's the worst thing. Give me a thumbs up if you know at least one number by heart of somebody in your phone. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. And if you don't, you be sure to memorize at least somebody, because that's a really scary feeling if all the phone numbers are in your phone and you're without it. So those are just 2 of the 8 areas, and there's just lots of great ideas you have already shared. But I wanted to share the fact that I get it. Parenting today is a challenge. There's a lot of distractions, and then there was COVID. A lot of pressures on our students, and so even how we're feeling about whether we're doing things right or the kids are doing things right can add stress. But I have to tell you, this was an interesting stat I liked, that it doesn't matter across all demographics and regardless of what area, all of the parents agreed there were certain things that every student should know how to, and that we need to be able to teach that to them, like being responsible, like hard work, like there's value in helping others and being well-mannered. And ultimately, that's what leads to that independence that truthfully everyone craves. And so part of what our goal is to, as parents, is to build an independent child, somebody who begins to feel confident on that journey. Your student may be early on, maybe they're about to leave the nest. And so hopefully this gives you a little bit of something to be able to look for when you're measuring if you feel that your students are ready for that independence. It was funny, that whole word journey to independence came around because somebody was throwing out the term like adulting, and somebody said, I don't know if we should be talking to kids about adulting. I know a lot of adults who don't want to adult. Are you sure we want to call it that? And the truth is, no, but we all want to be independent. And I don't know a parent out there who doesn't want to know their student can be strong and confident on that journey to independence. And so we wanted to take this to the next level. And after our discussion tonight, and we'll do another one similar to this in the summer, we're offering something that I'm so excited about. It is a webinar series. It's actually starting next Wednesday. It's going to be from 6 to 7:30 for 4 Wednesdays. We're skipping spring break. 4 Wednesdays, and we have amazing experts who are going to be, we're going to do sort of interview style, lots of chances for interaction, lots of chances to answer questions and pose some questions to them. And so here's what's happening. Starting next week, we are doing our very first one. It's called Career, College, or Gap Year, and it's going to be put together by Lori Genevish, and she owns an organization called My Ideal College. But she's going to talk about not just college, but if your kids are going straight into a career, how do you navigate those waters? Then we're going to be followed up by Wendy. Wendy, wave your hand. So Wendy Paxton is a Dave Ramsey financial guru, but she's also going to teach about how we as parents can teach our kids to be financially fit. And so we're going to kind of tackle that whole thing. That's one of the 8 things our kids need to know how to do. So she's going to be giving us tips and tricks. Yeah, Wendy? Good stuff.
Absolutely. Great stuff.
So excited. Then we're going to skip the first week of April. The next two are going to be put together by actually, we've got two guests. Leah, I don't know if you've seen her. She's here. She's with Be More Learning, and she's going to be talking about some independent life skills, like how to get your kids to do more stuff at home. And then Dr. Valerie Lowe with the Forsyth County Schools, she's going to be talking about all the local resources. Many you may know about, but some you might not. So you're going to want to be on that one. Then to bring it home, Jennifer Gross, so wave Jennifer with Be More Learning, she's going to be talking about sort of deciphering student emotions, like how can we understand? And Stuart Hall from Orange, you'll find out more about that organization, is going to be joining us with that as well. Amazing speakers, great topics. They're going to be 90 minutes. We'll be done by 7:30. And so those are coming up, and the opportunity to be a part of that is as well. All of this is to say one day soon, hopefully, we'll get an opportunity to be back doing boot camps. Be More Learning will. This was an example of one that, with the help of the Forsyth County Schools and the College and Career Development Department, we want to get back in front of the students. But until then, here's what we want to do for you is to provide strategies and support, to give you some experts that you can learn from, and ultimately for us to all just have more peace of mind, great ideas. And ultimately what we want to do is prepare a workforce. So business leaders, if you happen to be a business leader, we want you to join our community of supporters to really help support and prepare this emerging workforce. And so there's lots of ways for you to be able to do that as well. So this is what it looks like. In chat, I've actually got if you'll notice, there is a link at the bottom of this screen. This is what the 4-part webinar series looks like. We actually have a discount for it. It'll be live, virtual. We'll be recording them for those who register. So if somehow you miss one of them, we're still going to have those if you register for them. So they'll be available for you. But this is an opportunity for you to join your fellow parents, to learn a little bit more, really to dig in and hear from these incredible experts. So Leah put in chat that link, so be sure to grab it and you can go straight to register if you'd like.
It's right after the door.
Any questions about that? So that gives you just an opportunity now. I want to open the floor up to answer any questions that you may have. Let me go ahead and stop sharing here and just say, I'd love to give you a chance. Are there any questions, thoughts, ideas? We're coming up to the very end. Anything you wanted to find out, or an idea or something you wanted to post quickly before we end? Okay, well, listen, I wanted to tell you, in addition to the resources of the webinar, so love for you to join us for that. Here's some information about Be More Learning. Remember, you can go right onto the Be More Learning website and download the whole checklist, so you've got that. And then if you want to grab either one, there's Jennifer and myself, our email addresses. Let me know what we could do to help you, any questions we can answer. But we just appreciate you being here tonight. And I would love if really quickly, if there's one thing you picked up for tonight, would you put it in chat? If there's anything at all you've picked up from just an idea, a tip, or if you enjoyed the process of us kind of just getting parents together, would you let me know in chat what you think about that? We'll take a minute for that. Anything at all that you see that you enjoyed? So just a quick note, I'm noting Kelly, so we want to be sure to capture that, and we've got to get you, make sure you get that download. How to teach kids. Nice, okay. Oh, hey, thanks, Jennifer, about sometimes being a parent can feel kind of lonely. And but I hope these opportunities will give us a chance to get together to realize we're not alone, and that some of the challenges we may be having are just like everybody else, or many others we know are facing some of those things. And this is a great chance for us to share ideas. Well, I want to honor your time, and I just thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing. And it just zipped right on by. We hope that you'll keep in touch with us. Go download that. Oh, and by the way, one other quick thing. When you download that 18-year-old checklist, you're actually going to be connected to Be More Learning. So as we do more of these, then you're going to have an opportunity to get notification of it. So in addition to getting this, go ahead and do that so that we'll be able to stay connected. And our goal is at some point very soon, and starting actually with Parks and Rec this summer, we're going to be doing one of our boot camps live and in person. And so your kids, when the pamphlet comes out with all the summer camps coming up, go ahead and look for that and sign them up. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll hope to see you very soon. Let us know if we can help you in any way. All right, take care, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. One thing I did want to do. Yeah, one thing I did want to